do you target and enhance your user experience? The short answer, through technology. The long answer, by creating meaningful experiences. This is Destination Queensland Forum 2022. I'd like to welcome the panellists, Gudju Gudju, Greg Shaw, and myself, Lauren Hall, all facilitated by Wayne Gerard, our Chief Entrepreneur of Queensland.
G'day everyone, how are you? Who's enjoyed this morning so far? Awesome. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of the land on which we're gathered, to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. Gudju Gudju, I'd like to acknowledge you for being here today, and thank you for your contribution and your tribe, your mob's contribution over many thousands of generations. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Wayne Gerard and I'm Queensland's Chief Entrepreneur. It's a great pleasure to be with you today. Why is the Chief Entrepreneur at a tourism event? What's entrepreneurship got to do with tourism? What's innovation got to do with tourism? And how can innovation enable the visitor economy? How can innovation unlock Queensland and Queensland's economic and social opportunities through you, through your organisations, your industry and your people? It was great to hear from Rose and the other speakers this morning. I took a couple of things away when I heard from Rose, and I was thinking about how do we make sure that the world and Australia knows we're open for business? How do we leverage innovation to make sure that the world knows we're open for business? Looking at that video, and a shout out to iVvy and the team at iVvy for pulling that together, there is so much emerging technology that could help you, that could help your business. How do you work out what's the right technology? How do you pick the wheat from the chaff? How do you invest in technology in a way that makes sense and that is affordable, given everything else that's a priority for you and your organisations? These are some of the questions we're going to talk about today. We're going to get some great shared experiences from people who are actually doing it. So without further ado, let me just reintroduce our panel. I'd like to introduce Lauren, who's the CEO of iVvy, one of our Queensland technology companies. Greg, the CEO of Mulpha, and everyone knows Greg, an industry operator, amazing facilities here in Queensland. And Gudju Gudju, again, an incredible innovator, bringing traditional experiences through a digital platform to the world. So we might start with a quick introduction by each person. What's their organisation do? And for the innovators, what's the problem you solve and why you solve it? And for Greg, a quick explanation or description of how technology has enabled your business. So Lauren, over to you.
Great, thank you, Wayne, and it's such a pleasure to be here today to share a little bit about iVvy and to participate in helping ensure that Queensland is a really amazing place to be and also participate and shine a light on this amazing destination. So iVvy, I am the founder and CEO of iVvy. We're an enterprise software company providing back-of-house solutions to hotels, restaurants, casinos, stadiums around the world, helping them make them visible and online so that we can book groups and meetings instantly and in real time. It's been a 13-year journey for me to be able to help drive change within this industry sector, but I'm very proud to be a Queensland company, to be able to do it from here and take it around the world, now in 16 countries and operations in 6 countries.
Thank you. Mulpha is a very diversified investment group. We have a large investment in hotels, in Queensland, Sanctuary Cove Resort, Hayman Island in particular. But we're also much broader than an investment group, and when we look at our operations, we're always trying to find real opportunities to drive innovation and growth. And in terms of hotels, as we all know, labour productivity, particularly now, is so crucial given the shortage of labour. So we looked at our hotels and we said, look, we're using 5 or 6 different software tools. None of them are talking to each other. We have separate training for each. And we scoured the world for about 2 years to find a solution that actually did all of those different tools and all fully integrated. And we've invested about 2 years ago in a tool called Hub. It drives labour productivity, maintenance efficiencies. Really, it facilitates efficiency amongst a large workforce. And so for us, it really is about how can we become not only more cost efficient, but much more efficient for the guest. And so it's been a great journey with Hub, and we're now sort of getting great success worldwide.
What is it? My name is Gudju Gudju, and my company is AppOriginee. I'm the founder, director, owner, and of another other companies as well, so being an Indigenous entrepreneur. But I looked at development of, I suppose, an app, but also tourism app that actually promotes Indigenous tourism and culture, and been looking at that platform for quite a while. In '94, developed a touchscreen computer and looked at that technology with QR code and referencing to it. Back then, no one knew about QR codes, and touchscreen was just coming into play, I suppose. But as we go now, we've got smartphones, so probably smarter than us, most of our phones. So with that technology, utilising an app, but also promoting Indigenous tourism, but not only just tourism, but cultural heritage sites, but also communities, and to, I suppose, showcase, the wealth and knowledge in Indigenous culture and in the community, and trying to get people to actually go out and visit rather than just seeing it and reading it, but actually going out, talking to the mob on the ground about their stories at home. So making it accessible, but also, promoting wealth within the communities as well. So it puts something back in the community every time someone visits them.
Promoting wealth, giving back to the community, having impact is all part of having a great experience. And Rose talked about the desire for a contemporary traveller to have a great experience. A great experience is delivered in many facets. Greg, from your perspective, what are some of the things that technology is doing to help deliver a great experience for your customers, your visitors?
Well, I think mostly technology creates time, and so what we're doing is we're making people more efficient in terms of their day-to-day work, and particularly in those areas where we're finding it difficult to get staff, like housekeeping. But it also creates time for them to interact with the guests. And I think we all know the thing that we all remember most about any sort of stay or experience is actually how we interact with staff. And so the technology for us actually helps drive much better efficiency, but most importantly, it creates more efficient time, and so that people can actually spend time with the guest and really enjoy their stay.
I might add to that. I think it's a really important thing that people understand that technology is absolutely the way of the future, and that the real benefits of technology is exactly that, efficiencies, but it's also about driving that customer engagement experience. Tech is an enabler. It's there to help monetize assets or drive the availability and connectivity of that customer to that supply chain, be it a venue or an experience or whatever it may be. And it's really important that as we look forward with technology today, customers are looking for simple accessible, mobile, online connectivity in real time. And they want to be able to look and book in 3 steps. So whether you own a venue or whether you actually have a service or a tour operator, whichever it is, online ability to connect and get your business to that customer is of critical importance. And the more you are digitized, the more that you look forward around who is your customer that you have to step in making really good decisions around technology that helps future-proof your business. Because what it does is it helps you think about what does your customer look, where are they shopping, how are they buying, how you bring them back, and how do you retain them to drive a great customer experience. There are so many challenges in the industry of tourism and events where there are so many manual processes. Today, if you adopt whichever technology solution, make sure that it is effective, scalable, mobile, and it has the ability to be able to drive bottom line performance and a lower cost of acquisition for each of the businesses. It's fundamental.
And I think for us, it takes away friction points. I think, when you stay, there's many great experiences, but the things also you remember are when you haven't got that guest response, when people forget. You make a call in the room for towels and it takes 3 calls. For us, the other key benefit is not only the operational efficiency and the cost saving, but it's taking away those friction points that ultimately are really important in terms of that guest experience.
Gudju Gudju, your technology brings a First Nations traditional owner experience to visitors to Queensland. Do you want to talk a little bit about how you're making that more accessible to more people?
Yeah, so, I've been up the Cape quite a few times, and a lot of people, if you travel around Queensland, it's big. A lot of people don't realise how big Queensland is. And not only that, we've got a lot of black spots. I'm not talking about us black fellas. I'm just talking there's a lot of black spots around in technology. So the thing is we're looking at, livening up those black spots and actually through partnership currently with Gerard and Starlink, we're looking at connectivity, solar-powered panel lights with connectivity to Wi-Fi. So if you're actually out the middle of whoop whoop and you can't connect with anybody, because phones, it's just, we're lost without it. But when you're actually lost outside in the black spot areas, you won't know where you are. And if your car's broken down, there might be an Indigenous community 5 kilometres from where you are, not 20 kilometres to the next town. But the thing is you'll get an experience. Not only that, it'll by using beacon technology as well, it'll ping your phone to say, hey, there's an experience here. There's a community nearby. And if you want a cultural experience, we'll go to cultural heritage sites. But it's also looking at cameras on these solar panel lights to protect those cultural heritage sites. And that's all everyone's cultural heritage sites. But bring you closer to the Indigenous communities, because we've got Indigenous art centres, up and down the Cape from Cairns, and it comes all the way down to Warrabinda and those places. But a lot of people don't know about these centres, but a little, connect the dots, so that people can plan a trip and say, well, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here, and actually plan a trip, but also know that they're still connected to Wi-Fi as they're travelling. The good thing about it is, if there's a mum and she's got her kids there and they break down, they're still going to be connected. It acts as a safety thing as well, as people travel around, and we all know it. You just got to go to Burke and Will's Hotel. I went there one time and had to wait 3 days because they ran out of petrol. So what do? Call a friend.
So Rose talked a bit before about one of the trends around single travellers. And when I think about the opportunity we have in Queensland to make Queensland more accessible in the area of accessible travel to single travellers, it's technology like Gudju Gudju is talking about that will encourage people to get out by themselves and, do that kind of work and travel holiday and visit more of the amazing traditional sites that we have, the art that we have, and to really experience Queensland. Greg, over to you. You talked a bit before about some of the efficiencies that you're getting from technology in your facilities, your hotels. You got some data on that, some stats, like what kind of benefits are you getting specifically from that? Because everyone out here is thinking about labour and access to people, and in a world where access to people is a challenge, how can technology reduce your dependency on people?
Well, for us, it's pretty dramatic. I mean, we operate, we own Hayman Island. Intercon is our manager there. A lot of challenges operating remote islands, but I think for us, investment in the product is perhaps $20,000 a year for a license fee. We would probably see 5 to 10 times that return in the first year of operations. In terms of labour savings and productivity. But I think the great thing about these tools today is that actually it's all on your app, and in terms of training, it probably takes us less than an hour to train our housekeeping staff as to how to use the app. The biggest challenge is actually training management because every housekeeper, every person in that department knows how to use an iPhone. It comes secondary so long as the app we have is incredibly intuitive. So, it's very easy for people to use it, and they like using it. They can actually see how productive they are. It creates full visibility, which is, as we all know, if you can actually measure it straight away, you can manage it. And I think that's the great thing about technology. It gives us instant, real-time visibility on labour productivity, and we've never had that previously.
Lauren, question for you. Your technology, like literally yesterday, I was invited to an event here in Queensland in a couple of weeks' time, and I noticed it was on iVvy, right? And so, who's using your technology? How accessible is your technology? How affordable? How does it scale from a small independent tourism operator right up to an organisation, say Greg's size?
Thanks, Wayne. I think that's a really good question because when I started building iVvy, what was the fundamental problem I was trying to solve was to be able to provide live availability of group accommodation, function space, and food and beverage online. Because there's millions, the meetings and events industry is a $1 trillion industry sector, and it is very manual. So when I looked at approaching who are our customers, well, I looked at every single operator from a small restaurant right across to the large enterprise type casinos that are taking venues and events right up to $11 million an event. We had to build global, scalable technology that firstly would be priced for affordability. It was easily to adopt from a simplicity and an online booking and setup perspective, but also enabling a vertically focused value proposition, because a restaurant operates very different to a hotel, and a hotel operates very different to a stadium. But the one thing that is really common is they all have space and they all want to monetize it and get it online to drive greater value. So to share a little bit around that statistic data, I think, which is really important to see, is by moving, and we've got thousands of venues around the world, and the aggregated data shows that by putting your venue online, we have taken what typically that manual inquiry process, what would trigger you to have a conversion rate of anything between 19 to 25%, and we've increased it by 48%. Dropped your cost of acquisition, took a process that would typically take anything up to 6 weeks to go backwards, forwards, negotiating the contract with a venue, and we took that process from 6 weeks to 6 minutes. Now, when you look at the impact of the cost of human capital from an event planner's perspective, it's enormous. But secondly, from a venue's perspective, we took that process, which would take generally between 3 to 19 days to respond to an inquiry, to down less than 2 minutes. So the value chain of technology has to exist on both sides, and therefore ultimately deliver a value proposition that is really meaningful, measurable, accessible. And I think overall, when we looked at delivering iVvy to the world, the game was make it easy, cost-effective, drive value for driving revenue growth, operational efficiencies, and profitability. And that is exactly what iVvy delivers.
Yeah, it's awesome. Gudju Gudju, from your perspective, working with a new customer, what are some of the lessons that tourism operators should, maybe take into consideration if they want to adopt technology?
Well, I think adopting technology. I think we're still in the early stages of it, and I think with communities, I think we're grasping at it, and technology is the way forward because, like the tourism industry is like an $18 billion industry, but our communities don't get a part of that. So actually having access to technology and actually bringing people to the communities. So like I said previously, there's the art centres that are dotted all around the Cape, but people only see them when we have Kayak in Cairns. The thing is there could be an art trail going out to all those communities, but it's the technology that needs to get us there. And taking advantage of that, visitors still go, even now, say they don't get an Indigenous experience. And this will stop that because having technology at their hands, the people who are coming over, we did a survey when we started doing and looking at app technology and in Cairns, and I was walking around the international and also the domestic. People from the international said that they'd download an app, for $5. No one's done it yet, otherwise I'll be a millionaire. I'll be driving around a Tesla. But the thing is, having this technology up there, it's not just the satellites as well, but EV. So there's a lot of people with electric cars, and all they've got to do is drive around in the city centre. But I think if remote communities start to actually get that technology, because all this is setting it up so people who do have Teslas can drive up to some of the communities like Konyama, Arakoon, Lockhart River, get an experience, come back home. But they can charge their vehicles there, have a coffee in the community, have a yarn to some of the elders there. They'll probably take them to some of their fishing spots, the bad ones. They don't, show them the good ones, like otherwise they'd be back there all the time. But the thing is embracing technology, I think, is the way forward to bring people there, but the community get wealth out of that because we can't buy, a fuel station. It costs too much money. But solar panels on roofs, at a coffee shop, when someone's charging up their Tesla, 15 minutes sitting down for a cup of coffee and, some chips in the community, talking to some of the elders from there, having a yarn, it helps the community as well.
It's a combination of using technology to generate impact and leveraging technology to build the economy. Greg, thinking about one of the other things that Rose said, and a change in consumer behaviour or traveller behaviour to booking last minute, how does technology help you respond to an uncertainty in demand and therefore all of the impact that has across a business like yours?
Yeah, well, I think, the hotel industry, we think, is extremely well developed in relation to revenue management. I think it was an absolute leader in the field. And as I said, across the globe, we principally use Intercontinental Hotel Group in Australia, but we have hotels with Accor, Marriott, and a number of other operators. And I think, over the last 20 years, we've just seen the industry grow incredibly in terms of their capability on revenue management. So for us, we think it's done extremely well. There's a whole range of great revenue management tools that are great. That technology has come a very long way in the last sort of 5 or 6 years. I think the opportunity we saw was actually more on the operational side for Hub, our business, because we could see this amazing sort of expertise in terms of revenue generation. Lauren's done the same in terms of event management. We actually just hadn't seen that same level of innovation in relation to the operational side of the business, which actually is a lot of logistics, and running any large hotel, it's a lot of work and there's a lot of people involved, and without technology, it is incredibly difficult.
Do you see, and I guess this goes to all three of you, do you see people being scared to adopt technology, and if so, how have you overcome that?
Well, I might say, because I think that there's a couple of factors, Wayne. One, there's always a fear factor around people's jobs, particularly with adoption of technology, because they fear that technology is going to replace their roles. I think what it actually should be in terms of the thought process is, firstly, technology is there to help, assist, take away the manual processes so that that person can focus on the things that are really important to the business, like driving better customer experiences. And today, there are a lot more tools available that enable that business intelligence for you to understand your customer and the customer's journey, to adopt that in your organization to make that better for the customer. But because there's been such an impact as well, post-COVID, where there's been a loss of human capital within organizations, people leaving hospitality, it's also now become a bigger factor in deciding around what technology to use, because people are not available. We've got a very low unemployment rate, and therefore, ultimately, you need technology to help you do more with less. And therefore, you have to look at it operationally. You've got to look at it from back of house to front of house to sales solutions to actually accounting solutions. So technology is going to continue to be important. But what's going to be really critical is the fact that the tech providers work together in a single ecosystem with deeply embedded integrations to ensure a seamless experience. The problem today, sometimes with technology, is there's lots of independent players, there's not open APIs, and the willingness to actually connect. Because like Greg, with a hotel experience, the key to success to make his customers happy is to make sure all the technology works together between all the systems to drive better operational efficiencies and better customer experiences.
And that's really why we spent 2 years finding Hub, because we had 5 great systems, but none of them spoke to each other. And 5 different license fees, 5 different training, and ultimately all that information didn't flow into one central sort of depository. So I couldn't agree more. And I think the other thing that's changed just more generally is just the quality of the apps and how agile solutions are. I mean, no longer are we going to the big sort of global IT companies to create a solution that's going to take 2 or 3 years to build. I mean, they're out there, and they're good and they're reliable. And I think the key, as you say, Lauren, is very much about integration.
Big time.
Yeah. And I suppose the same, I agree with what Lauren's saying. You got to know the up, understanding the platform. The other one is, the UC, I suppose the UC is understanding your customer as well. The thing is, you're building it for your customers, but you also got to understand your platform if you're going to build it. And I think that's the main thing, is building a platform that suits you and what your needs are. And, there's AI that's coming around as well, artificial intelligence. I'm looking at one of the lights and actually trying to do augmented reality. So, if you go to one of our lights, an old fella pops out like Obi-Wan Kenobi and tells you, stay with the Force, like, hey, the Force be with you. But tell you whether it's a community, whether it's a site and a heritage site, and, but what it's there for and protection and stuff like that. But I think we just got to understand our technology. We're going there that way. I know soon they'll probably put it in your hands and stuff like that, and you'll be talking to your hand. But anyway, I've got a joke about that, but I won't tell you about it. No worries.
And I think that, there's more companies like ours where actually the technology is coming from, the business side. We actually own these properties, we understand what the problems are, and we went out and found a solution that solved those problems. Quite often I think if you go back 5 or 10 years, the technology companies were sort of quite independent sometimes to the business, and they created great solutions, or they thought they were great solutions, but it was only once they got into the properties that they found, well, hang on, we don't quite understand what day-to-day those issues are. And I think that's, across the industry, I think that's improved quite dramatically.
So technology comes in all shapes and sizes, and we've talked a fair amount about applications and phone-based technology or app-based technology that enables productivity and customer experience. Gudju Gudju's talked a lot about some of the technology that enables more physical experiences, whether that's solar lighting and solar recharges. Technology the adaptation or adoption of technology across tourism really, is unlimited. I'll give you an example. This morning I was talking to a local Queensland tech company that's doing e-mobility solutions specifically for tourism. And out in the next room there, you've got a number of organisations that are bringing smart technology specifically to the industry with industry experience. One of the things that I'm really passionate about as the Chief Entrepreneur is how do we help our economy to grow? And how do we help you guys to be more prosperous? And also, how do we solve those problems with local Queensland companies? Because by partnering with other local Queensland companies, we're creating local jobs. We're creating local solutions to local problems that hopefully we can sell globally. So we've got 1 minute left, and I guess putting your forward-looking hats on, what's one technology that you think about that is coming, that's going to unlock value and unlock the customer experience in the tourism industry?
Besides iVvy, I have to say iVvy is, because we're about destinations and online capability, and we want to do more in this space. So other than iVvy, I think we're going down the route of AI, machine learning, and predictive analytics to help enable organizations understand the future and how to be more competitive around the data. Data is the new currency, and we're focusing on help enable that to be visible, measurable, and accessible.
Thanks, Lauren. Greg?
Yeah, I think for us, it is very much about experiences. I think people go to resorts, they love staying at lovely hotels, but ultimately it's about the memories they create, and the more we can connect our hotel to experiences they're doing during the day, and actually make sure that people have the capability to plan their trips and get the most out of their trips. I think that's really important.
Yeah, and for me, I suppose, in the words of Ernie Dingo, everyone can be an AppOriginee. The thing is downloading an app, getting an experience as well, but seeing by that augmented reality as well. So the thing is I'd love Minister Palaszczuk to actually put it in Olympic Games, a light attached to, each community, Indigenous community around Queensland. So you're actually there, you can actually get pinged by beacon technology, and you're actually in a community, hearing about it, seeing the community and say, wow, I'm going to go there. So without being it, but yeah. So everyone can be an AppOriginee. There you go.
Love it. And for me, it's how technology can provide that little bit of luxury to your customers. And I've got a little bit of luxury in my hand right here. It's from Sober Brewing, just outside, a Queensland company who have got a non-alcoholic TLC beer, and 25 cents from every can goes to the Coral Reef Foundation. So it's combining technology to produce something locally that has a positive impact on our environment. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had some ideas, some sparks, something that you could take away that helps you with your customers and your businesses. Thanks very much to Lauren, Greg, and Gudju Gudju.